All right. So you want to look at your games?
Yeah, I mean, I figure, I want to set a good example, and
Always.
I have these games. I was probably gonna look at them anyway,
Yeah.
and then yeah, we're playing this like 10-0 tournament tomorrow.
Yeah. Not probably going to
Uh,
look at them. For sure you were going to look at them.
yeah, no, I definitely was gonna look at them. And yeah, actually, I thought it might be cool. I definitely want to hear your thoughts because I mean, you were just watching it live, so I'm sure you saw some things in the game. Um,
Not too
but I
much though. I
also,
was I was mostly like, working on the cameras.
I see. Um, but yeah, I figured I would kind of do what I usually do, which is I work a lot with the database. Like I like seeing what other people did in the positions that I got, especially because I felt like I misplayed almost every opening in the game.
Yeah.
Um,
That I did notice.
yeah, right. So it would be useful for me. I mean, yeah, that's usually where I start with, and I mean, okay, I'm sure it'll be helpful for people. People are always asking like how to analyze games, and we can just kind of go through it.
Cool. Well, I'm going to try and pass ownership of the board to you. I am
Okay,
now
I think I just need to be student, but yeah,
I'm
that's fine.
allowed to move. Okay. So you can do whatever you need with it, right? And
Sure. Um,
Icy Stun is here. And Adar is making a cake. Awesome. That's difficult.
yeah, guys. Well, no, I realized I blunder. I blundered a lot of pieces in the match, and that wasn't good. I mean, I was basically just out of form. Like I haven't played in days,
Yeah.
and I haven't been doing tactics or anything. That's
Yeah.
okay. I see. You can stay VIP.
It doesn't take long to lose a step, huh?
Especially yeah, with online chess. I feel like it's very much yeah. Like if you're not doing it, you really lose steam. Same with Puzzle Rush. Like you just slow down. Um. So okay. Well, yeah. This was the first one. And I guess I mean, this isn't the only way to play with Rookie One, but this is always, I just saw this in like a Gelfand game and I liked the way he played it, so I just usually play this one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then actually on B5, for some reason, I played B3, but yeah, actually, I mean, here's where I was already on my own because like oftentimes like the move is A3, like in a lot of King's Indians, you just play A3 here and then you stop B4 and BC4 is like never rarely good for black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, for some reason I chose to play B3 because in other positions against like the old Indian, I've seen that the bishop is just good on, B2 and it just makes sense here.
Did you
So,
calculate C5?
um, here,
Yeah.
no, no, I didn't even consider it.
Okay.
I mean, it could be a move.
Um, the most complicated line would probably be pawn takes C5, pawn takes E5, knight G4, bishop F4, and if you get time to play H3, you'll be killing. But I don't know if you get it.
Hmm.
Too many negatives in your question, Adar. Too many negatives. At some point, I don't know what you're asking.
Well, yeah, I like that position with bishop F4. Um, I wonder if this is why people don't. Because yeah, I just feel like I usually don't have to deal with this early. I feel like black is often playing queen c7, rook e8, a lot of other moves first. But I really have very little experience facing the system because it's just one of those lines where it's like, you just get a space advantage and like, okay, it's just how you play the position really. It's not so critical like the Grunfeld or King's Indian or something.
Mm-hmm.
But Okay, let me check.
I mean, if c5 is good, it nicely bypasses a6 and b5, right? That's just like two wasted moves for black almost. Depending on how it plays out, but it could be.
Yeah, I mean it would be really strong. I mean it would be quite good. Okay, seems like the main move is a3 by far.
Okay.
Um, we could look at c5. But the games don't really suggest why this isn't all that great for it. It seems like the main move is actually queen c7.
So c5 has been played.
Yeah, a few times.
Oh, okay. And then main move queen c7.
Actually, one game by Yasser here. That's funny. He's the highest rated.
Okay. Did he play white or black?
Yeah, he was white. So he took bishop d6, h3, rook e8.
Wait a minute. This transposed to the semi-Slav now.
Oh,
The
directly?
DC4 lines. I should have recognized it.
Wow. But does white's bishop ends up on f1?
It can,
Oh wow.
but I think
Yeah,
maybe
structure is
maybe not
very
exactly.
similar.
But
Yeah.
hey, casual player.
Yeah, no, actually it does look really similar. So they got this queen c2, c5, d5, c4, a4, rook b8, bishop e3, knight c5, knight d2, h6. I mean, to me, it feels like black is pretty happy here.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
This is fully playable for black.
Okay, cool. So I guess a3. This is the move most commonly played. And yeah, it makes sense. Then I just never, because in the game, actually, I saw this whole thing coming like the whole time, like ED4 and B4.
Mm-hmm.
I was never sure how I was gonna deal with it. And then, uh, actually, what happened was for some reason, right? For some reason, I assumed B4 was gonna happen first, and then I would take on D4 with the bishop, which was a very strange screw up because earlier I was always calculating ED4, knight D4, and then B4, and what do I do there, and then C5. Um, okay, but we can get to that. So A3, bishop B7. White scores really well after like H3 or bishop G5.
I mean, the nice thing is in this position, if black ever trades on c4 and d4, their position's really bad when you just recapture with pieces. Their remaining situation in the center just looks terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, usually this is kind of like a turtle opening where black just goes like queen c7, rook e8, bishop f8, just basically does nothing and stays solid. And then white has
Yeah.
to figure out like when to push d5, when to push b4.
So he needs to do this to keep your knight out of f5. I'm sure he did that in the game before he traded and played c5, because otherwise knight f5 would have been fine for you, even with the e-pawn
Right.
hanging. So his plan
Right.
is like rook e8, g6, bishop on f8. So what do you eventually want to do? I suppose bishop g5 might create good tension for you in some cases when black plays g6. And I guess eventually you might want to play d5. Maybe in some position you could play like cb and then d5. Like, so the pawn on b5 is hanging.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes CB, they go CB.
Then you play d5 and the bishop on b7 is bad, and you just play the closed Rui Lopez.
Right. But where black has decent knights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. That's true. I don't know, I'm just thinking of like what are like some of the things you could do. I mean, one of the reasons I struggle in the Rui Lopez is because there's like so many different things you can do, and it's hard to evaluate which one you want to.
That's true. I've been kind of studying it this past year, and like, yeah, it's never clear when it's like time to play on the queen side, or you should just play g4. Yeah, it's super, super rich. So, this is kind of interesting. Kasparov in this position played bishop g5.
Okay.
It's interesting that you said this could be good against g6, because I guess his
Yeah.
idea was to provoke h6.
Mm-hmm.
And
And he did.
so yeah, he goes here. So this is 1987, and
Okay.
he's playing a 2400 for some reason. Oh, he might be playing the team of Switzerland. I think that's what's happening. Because it just says Kasparov versus Switzerland. um, so that was rook e8, rook c1, queen a5, c5, ed4, knight d4.
Nice. Just totally not caring about that pawn on c5.
Yeah. So he just wants this one, I guess, because
Yeah, he just
that's
wants
what.
the knight on f5. Do you know the famous Kasparov quote about the knight on f5?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's what he
absolutely.
wants. I can see him
Oh,
getting excited.
oh, but right. So he also has this threat. So if Black just played g6, then this one looks, and then maybe knight c6 or
Right.
something.
Or bishop f6, knight f6, then knight c6. So you come in and hit them all.
Yeah. So one way. Huh. Nice. So yeah, I mean, he won quickly. It was queen c7, knight f5,
Oof.
takes, and then oh, okay, okay. Yeah, nice combination here. Takes.
B4 coming with knight d5, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
Oh, he
Gary.
didn't.
Gary.
Oh, he didn't play queen d8 because of this one. So queen
Yeah.
b8. Takes, takes. Okay, goes for good endgame. Classic Kasparov.
Oh, this is such a good position, though. It's like he painted the queen side he wanted.
That's funny. So, but what do you think here? Do you think he takes on b7?
Uh, checking my technique.
No, I don't know.
I mean, you're never going to be able to make progress without eventually doing that. So the question is, do you strengthen your light squared bishop's position first, right? Like, do you play your pawns to g3, f4, e5, bishop g2, and then do it?
Right. I mean, definitely looks like if he did it now, he would be doing great. But yeah, I think either way is probably he's doing good.
I guess I'm inclined to play g3 here.
Yeah, nice. Zidane likes g3. Okay, so
What happened?
oh yeah.
You ask us all that, and you don't tell us if we're Gary or not.
Well, no, Black played rook e6.
Oh, black didn't. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
He took here. Yeah, yeah. I was just curious about that in game.
Okay.
F4, F6, knight d4. Oh man, look at this final position.
Look
F5
at this
resigns.
position. F5 resigns. Knight 8. He should have played knight h7, h4, and then resigned.
Yeah, that would have been more. Yeah, always play till checkmate.
Yep. There. Checkmate the knight.
Beautiful. So here, yeah, I'm guessing he doesn't take. He piles up for forever, and then eventually breaks through.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So yeah, bishop g5 though. Actually, that's actually the most popular move, and then h3 is also quite common. So it seems like white has a couple of options here.
So my way of learning openings, which obviously is like quite poor, but my way of trying to learn something like this would be to basically learn that Kasparov game, like just
Mhm.
like look for a couple games like that, and just use that to get a feel for things. And honestly, like that game has everything in it, right? It's got the c5 break that I mentioned in the other position. It's got the bishop g5. It's got the interplay about is black playing h6 or g6. What does white want with that? Um, and I mean, it's just it really to me it tells me a lot to see one game like that, and then if I play through it a couple of times, I probably remember it. So
No, I mean, I feel like that's exactly how people should learn how to play positions. Yeah, especially the C5 move, because this is an idea that was not on my radar when I was playing the game. But it definitely should have been. And I guess, I mean, it's not always crushing because black can play queen c7 and kind of do the semi-Slav thing. But if the rook is on c1 already, then that's very uncomfortable.
right. And even if you don't have like an immediate follow up in some positions, let's say like something like this, in some positions you can play b4, and it's like a known thing to do this against the semi-Slav.
Right.
That if black like sits around, white can play c4, c5, and like the bishop suffers.
Yeah. As long as I'm okay with ed4. But on ed4, I can always take on d6.
Yep. Or you can leave a pawn hanging, as Gary might have.
Or just, yeah, if knight d4 doesn't work. Right.
A lot of these can work as pawn sacks. So
Yeah, me too. I see the semi-Slav
pretty cool.
transposition. I had no idea that was possible.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Okay. And then the other idea I could look at is h3 here, which I think is just a thematic move. I don't know if there's any huge point in playing h3 this early, but it scores really well.
Okay.
And I guess this one comes with the idea of...
Do you want to show us one high-rated game with h3, maybe?
Yeah, actually, I have a game here, Latier-Spassky, 1990.
Okay. Man, bishop e3? He didn't even want to play bishop g5, h6, bishop e3?
I mean, I don't know.
He's just completely not on Gary's level.
Well, yeah, I mean, famously, no. Although, actually, no, I think he's like one of the few players who had a good score against him. No, he played bishop e3 against Tal in 1989 and then Spassky in 1990. So clearly something he believes in.
Yeah.
But bishop g5 is the other big move in this position. So bishop g5, a lot of players do play like this. So definitely worth considering as well. But yeah, I guess he just goes for like much more positional because black goes like bishop f8, queen c2, takes, bishop takes, which is, so I guess this is because of c5 then, because knight takes and c5, and then this one looks to be hanging and we don't have knight f5 with tempo. So he takes here, and then on c5, I guess, takes on f6 and b5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a pawn. Man, it shows you how much I don't like giving up bishops. This is like probably it's like clean extra pawn.
Yeah, it is. It takes a moment to see it, but the thing is the bishop f8 is going to remain passive. Like, you've actually got good play on the d file in addition to your pawn.
Yeah, that's true. This is very...
And, like, your knight or bishop coming to b5 can be awkward for black's queen or e8 rook, depending how they try and arrange that. If black could play, like, g6, bishop g7, and white had, like, a pawn on d5, it could be, like, a Benko Gambit-y kind of feeling. But with bishop g7 just completely not happening, I think black's just like passive. Like, he's probably down 1 point 3, or he's more than down the pawn here somehow.
Yeah. Okay, so rook c8, rook a d1, queen c7, queen b1, knight e5.
Classy. I love playing moves like queen b1.
I like moves like knight e5. I'm just plugging in this guy. Take here. b4.
So here,
takes.
before black plays b4, let's just pause for a second. Like, I think if black doesn't do something, white's probably threatening c5 and then b4.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting moment to stop, because it does feel like the moment where black has to find the plan.
Right. And people might like play through a game like this sometimes and see like b4 and be like, oh, black's trouble started when they split their queenside pawns for no reason, blah blah blah. But it'll be because black sensed that there was something that white was going to do and they had to do something soon. So I think the move c5 largely shuts black out. You have more experience with that kind of structure from King's Indians. It could happen if you just put the black pawn on g6 and everything else the same. Like, you've probably seen basically that exact position.
Yeah, although I have a hard time evaluating it, because, I mean, okay, black will try to get the bishop to e6, and then bishop is okay, and like knight goes to d7. So I don't know quite, how I would approach that position. I would imagine white is like slightly better with the d file, but not sure if I would think it's a lot. But, well, okay, I guess like for me, this is like the most natural move by like a lot. Just wondering, so if c5, bishop c8, like,
So white plays b4 and then maybe,
maybe bishop g5 somewhere actually might be annoying.
a4. I did a long analysis one day of a game that looked like this. I'm afraid I'm remembering it wrong, but I remember like thinking I could defend it for black, and then I just played moves for both sides like dozens of times, and I was like, what's white's plan to eventually sack a piece on b5? Because I think white played like a4, ab at some point. I was like, how does white ever break through? Like sack on b5 or something to get the pass pawns rolling? I didn't really believe it, and I just kept playing it out, and white kept coming up with different things.
And how did they eventually win?
I mean, it was just me against myself, basically. But yeah,
Oh, sorry.
I eventually beat myself down like 100 times with white and came to believe it.
Gotcha. Yeah, so, okay, I guess this compels black to play b4.
I mean, unless there's some other problem with rook d8, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe like bishop g5 somewhere is annoying, but I don't know, like black will just play bishop b7. Yeah, I don't see anything other than c5 that would explain black's decision.
Okay.
So yeah, takes rook e2, and then takes c5.
F3.
Of course. See, you have culture. Rook d8.
Like, this move's going to be easy to predict.
Takes. Knight d7.
Defending
G3.
c5. Preparing h4.
Wow. Yeah, building the bathtub. Definitely not an obvious plan, but I mean very logical, but like this is pushing pawns in front of the king.
I lack a total lack of chess culture. I could predict all these moves.
Um, nice.
And building a bathtub. Oh, I'll remember that.
Yes, that's well known. Yeah, I guess he just used the two bishops here. Bishop a6, queen a2,
Mm-hmm.
bishop b7, bishop h3, bishop c6, queen a3,
Queen a3.
yeah, a4, and takes.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like white's just good.
Yeah. He didn't even play king g2. He really thought the game was over. Normally, you
Yeah,
always play king g2 before you take that.
right.
Or king h2.
Yeah, just for like superstitious reasons, really.
Yeah.
Um, and that was over. It was like g6 here, check, c5.
Mm-hmm. Now he's just having fun.
Yeah. And okay, the game lasted like more moves, but sure it wasn't like easy. But okay, now we're just into like super super deep middle game.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, a good example of like when the double pawns really like are fine. I mean, yeah, king and pawn endgame, like white is like dead lost, but here white like just used the two bishops and had some nice pressure.
Yeah, I mean, to get to a king and pawn ending, black would have to be able to trade pieces, and it looks like there's not even a single piece they can trade here. Like, the knight that's defending their pawns prevents them from challenging the d file.
Yeah.
The light squared bishop can't move. Knight can't move. So.
Yeah, this was yeah, this is just basically all about this pawn, like just putting pressure here. Knight had to stay on d7, knight was attacked, bishop had to stay on c6, like, and just I mean, two weaknesses and yeah. Nice one. Hey Seth, thanks for the gifted subs.
Sidon's like talking to himself in our account now, in our chat now. Oh man, you're distracting us, man. We're trying to analyze here.
That's really funny. I didn't realize they started talking to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can get on with the
With the
middle
game that's
game.
played.
Yeah, honestly, I was like less interested in the middle games because I just felt like I just calculated badly, and it's because I'm out of shape and haven't been playing much.
But it matters. You got chances. It was still a game.
I mean, yeah, this was just a really weird blunder. I mean, if I take with the rook, aren't I just fine? Or is there still there's still b4? Thought this was different for some reason.
C5 and B4. Does the move order matter? What? Oh yeah, C5. There's knight D5. So B4 and then C5.
Yeah.
Looks the same. I suppose you could not send your knight to A4. But that's the case either way. That knight A4 was probably not the best square.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, that was definitely controversial. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, this is often a thing in the semi-Slav, which I was actually thinking about during this, like, this chunk of the face.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if it was the best square. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Like, I felt like I was, I mean, must have been doing badly, but like, Yeah, I just felt like it wasn't that easy for black, like because of the the light squares.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes people mess up these kinds of positions as black because they expect it to be easy.
right. Yeah, and it rarely is.
Or they feel like some pressure, like I gotta win. But
Yeah.
really, it serves you better as black in a position like this to be like, well, my position's probably okay. Let me just do the best I can with it. What do you think of maybe Queen C6, where you played Queen E4?
Mm. Well, I mean, actually, this is kind of a weird thing. I don't know what you think about this, but oh wait, oh here.
Yeah.
Well, this knight on a4. I mean, I get that the knight is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because this knight like kind of dominates it. But at the same time, I always feel like these things are they're kind of double-edged because the knight on d7 has to stay on d7 to dominate the knight. Otherwise, I get knight b6, knight d5, and I'm doing great.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually the knight took on c5. So it was actually like and I don't think I'm lost there. I think actually like I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it was a chance. Um so I don't know, I'm not totally convinced this knight on a4 was that bad. It's hard it's hard to say for me. Yeah, this does look annoying. Um, yeah, I don't know what Jesse does here.
Maybe Queen C8, Queen E4, Knight E6.
Queen c8. Okay, Queen e4, 96. Well, let's say white goes f4.
Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to do. I mean, the black pieces are so awkward. Yeah, I don't know. Looks okay to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, looks like black is really passive. I mean, I feel like I would take white already.
Yeah, maybe. I'm thinking Bishop G7, F5, pawn takes, queen takes, Bishop B2, Knight B2. No, Knight on E5. The game goes on.
Yeah.
Got Knight D4 coming next.
Bishop d7 we can also go like rook d1.
Switching to doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I can trade on B2 and then you recapture and I play Knight D4.
All right.
You're almost like priced into sacking the rook.
That's funny. Right. Hmm. Yeah, I feel like f5 there would be better. Yeah, this definitely is a much more annoying move. I totally agree.
Yeah. And for
Um,
what it's worth, Queen B7 is the same. I think it basically attacks almost all the same things.
well, this one black can go rook b8 and like maybe queen h4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You go Queen A7 or something.
mm-hmm.
Just start coming back all the same. Or Queen C6.
Yeah, maybe queen c6. But black will take here, so I don't know.
Oh yeah,
No, but
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
like I like Queen C6 a lot.
Yeah, so Queen C6 is clearly better actually.
Yeah, because then okay, here we're still hitting, so no time for Queen H4.
Yeah, it's just nice to get into those light squares.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let's see. So
I thought Queen G4 was a definite mistake from Jesse.
yeah, I was so confused. I was really expecting this one,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wasn't sure at all.
I mean, it felt like you were close to lost right here. I know it's
Right.
only a pawn, but like the bishop on f1 is so bad right now. It really felt like you're near the edge, right? Like all he needs is to take over one more square somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and it could fall apart, right? Now that his rook's getting to the e file, if the knight comes back to f4 at some point, like I don't know, it seemed like it could be close to lost here. And then he fixes the pawn structure and your pieces can move, and it seems like there's a lot of room for black to mess up.
Yeah, yeah. I had much more hope after this. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I thought like I'm down a pawn and I have it feels like I have a worse structure. And he can trade dark square bishops at any moment and leave me with a bad bishop.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason he's not doing so because he doesn't want to let my knight back into the game. But
Right.
also d6
Or
maybe.
d6.
Yeah, but
But to prevent bishop g7 by attacking d6, you had to give up the e file, right? So it was like you had to make a tough choice there, I think, when you chose that.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how tough it was. To me, it just felt well. To me, it felt very logical that Black's plan was bishop g7. So yeah, I
Right.
just wanted to stop that.
Yeah.
Um,
But it did let him out of like the e file, which was another problem for him before, was where to put those pieces. Hey, go back a second, actually. Instead of rook d1, you probably have a lot of moves possible. I mean, I know it's only like a 10-minute game or whatever,
yeah, yeah.
but
I was thinking about h4 here as well. I think.
okay. How about f4? What was wrong with that?
I don't know if
It's a
I
big
consider
move.
this one. Trying to remember why. I mean, I was just scared of queen h4 at some point. Like,
Okay.
okay, black goes a tempo, but I actually didn't realize until just now the value of this check to get the rook in because it is kind
Right.
of some time.
Right. If f4 weren't this good a move, I would have even suggested like look at king h1 just to like make him waste a move on something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But f4 is a little bit of everything I want.
Right.
Stops knight e5, idea of playing f5 at some point, stops queen g5, and allows bishop g2.
Yeah. So let's say bishop g7.
Okay. Bishop g2. That's again to stop queen g5 check. So I'm thinking of maybe playing f5 after the rook moves to c8 or wherever it goes. Maybe
Yeah.
b8. I don't know which is better. Probably b8's a little better.
You don't
There's no
know.
clear answer though. I mean, rook b8 will have queen c6 at some point. Rook c8 will have something to b7 at some point.
Yeah, maybe rook a7.
Oh, okay.
But okay, he would play. I feel like he would just play rook c8 because I feel like queen c6 is important to stop.
Okay. So I'm gonna just play like f5, just
Yeah.
like a big straightforward jerk, which is what I usually am. Play the most obvious moves.
So my first thought is knight d4.
Okay. Didn't think of that.
Yeah, I'll try this one. Oh man, if I took this knight, I would never hear the end of it.
If you did what?
If I took this knight, I would never hear the end of it. Just like knight on a4. Then okay, the knight on a4 would be for sure bad.
Would be for sure
I
bad.
would submit.
All right, I'm gonna go queen e7.
Yeah.
No, there's knight f5. Never mind.
Oh.
I'll trade on g6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I'll play queen e7.
Yeah.
How the mighty pawn up people have fallen. The person down a pawn is offering them queen trades.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like well, no, it's unclear. I was thinking takes 95, but then that allows the knight to get into b6. So, and then black's knights look really nice, but they're not really killing me.
Yeah, I'm threatening bishop b7 to take the a pawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, this looks clearly better than what I did.
Okay. It's my feeling too.
And it's so logical, too. It's just like trading off the double pawn.
Yeah.
Very simple.
I mean, if we weren't down a pawn, it's what we would be playing, right?
Yeah.
Just sort of like off of like our f1 bishop is telling us to play like this. Knight g5 here. So where's that knight going next? I don't see. So I'll play queen e7.
Yeah, it's like actually it feels like a really reasonable move, but this knight actually
I'm gonna threaten
totally
h4,
dominating.
right?
Yeah, so it might not be in black's. Like black will have to be really really careful with this threat. So yeah, probably not the safest square. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I want to spend too much more on this game. I feel like I already got just a huge number of ideas from this alone.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Okay, let me save this one. And then I'll just grab my next game. Oh yeah, which is even worse.
Sorry.
Oh man. But actually the opening will be interesting to look at least.
Yeah. My feeling is, I mean, my vague feeling, and I didn't put as much thought into the games as you guys, obviously, but my vague feeling is like before you hung the piece, the position was already dire.
Yeah, it was bad there.
So that you probably need some significant new idea in that line.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I checked this game during the break.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually wasn't sure about the opening. Like I knew we went into Petrosian, but I couldn't figure out if it was direct transposition or not.
I think you're going to say you couldn't tell if it was Tigran or Tigran L Petrosian.
That was the important part.
It's like, which one are we in?
But I did feel like it has to be a strange version for white because they did commit to castling, which doesn't always happen. Okay, I should just actually just compare it so I can see. But yeah. line I'm thinking about is this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so white got an extra tempo to castle. Because we had this position in the game, right? And it was black to move. And the normal line is here. So black goes a5, and then if white wants to, they can castle. Or play like bishop g5 or something.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure, I mean, there's a reason they go bishop g5 first and not castles. So I'm not clear if this is like a good inclusion for black or not.
I mean, I don't know how bishop g5 like plays into these variations still. It's a bit confusing to me still. But I would think that just castling for free is probably okay for white. Having not yet committed to bishop g5.
Well, I wasn't sure because I mean we get the Mar del Plata, but like, I mean, this knight is like famously bad on e7.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I always thought that was kind of the thing. Like, I mean, it takes too much time to put it back on b8 usually, but yeah. I mean, the knight is like much better placed when it can defend against c5.
Okay.
Or just live on the c5 square, and then white doesn't get it at all.
Yeah, I agree. If it could live on the c5 square, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
When black sets up, knight c5, a4, bishop d7 or whatever, and white can't break it. I've slipped into that a couple times by accident in blitz games, and you immediately feel like there's nothing you can do for white.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I get that here. So Naka played knight h5 in this position, and he had this actually like literally like 2.5 weeks ago in I guess Title Tuesday or something.
Okay. And that's showing up in your database or something?
Yeah, because I'm using the ChessBase live database.
Okay.
And they get all the I don't know if they get all the Title Tuesday games. Maybe it was like a speed chess championship or something. But he was playing High Martirosian.
Okay.
So I don't know where he would have played him. Maybe like a final or something.
I think that may have been the first round pairing of the speed chess championships.
Oh yeah, I think they did play. That's interesting. So yeah, by transposition they got the same position, and Naka actually played like, I mean, just super thematic King's Indian game. Like, so knight h5, knight e1, knight f4, knight d3, takes f5. I think this is already good for black. Like, black is just better. But this is just like so typical. Take knight f2, knight d7, b3, rook f6. Anticipating this one, g6, okay, c1, a6, d1, knight f6. And like, yeah, white like can't do anything on the queen side, and black is just pushing g4 with d3, g4.
Wow. For a blitz game, it looks like black knew what they were doing.
It's like, I mean, yeah, it's like straight out of like starting out the King's Indian. You would like see this game.
The precision of that rook f6, g6 to keep the d pawn covered and move the knight to f6 to cover g4 without ever dropping control over d6 and not getting in the way of the rook. Perfection.
Just like brings all the pieces in. Bishop
Knock
G3
yourself out
resigns.
on a6. And white just resigns with all the pieces on the board.
Yep. Man, I mean, yeah. So okay, well that was very interesting. So knight h5 though, I get the feeling Jesse goes rook e1 here, or maybe g3. Feel like he doesn't let me go knight f4, take his bishop.
Let's think a second. Um, Rookie one.
Mm-hmm. So knight f4. Bishop f1.
Normally you have to play h6 here. And then f5.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this would just be like a thematic position that I should probably analyze deeper.
Yeah, I think. I mean, white, I think bishop e3, f5, c5. That's the kind of thing you want to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the
Okay, and
basic
then
is that white doesn't want to trade that knight.
mm-hmm.
Black can never play f5 when white can play knight g5. These are like the tiny little pieces of knowledge I have about this stuff.
Right.
Sometimes the knight on f4 can become a problem even when you're playing h6, g6, f5 because on g3 when the pawn's on f5 you won't have knight h3 check, and on knight h5 they'll have e takes f5. There's some
Yeah.
weird tricks where even though the knight on f4 looks good, like sometimes white has tactics that upset black's smooth cruising.
Right. Also, I feel like on f5 sometimes you have to worry about ef, gf, bishop f4, and then getting left with these pawns like knight d4.
Oh, and knight d4 coming to e6 real fast.
Yeah.
Okay, that could be too. Yeah. Man, I do want that knight on a6. Maybe I'll learn how to play knight a6.
But I mean, actually here I would think maybe a5 could be, because if we compare it to like
Mm-hmm.
the bayonet attack, white already has b4 there.
Yep.
If you play a5, they at least, yeah, they go ba. So okay, I should consider this one too.
Yeah, because rook e1, bishop f1, it's nothing like amazing for white that's happened in the meantime. So you can throw these moves in and then play a5 if you want.
Mm-hmm.
How was your position with a5?
Oh, in the game?
Yeah.
Well,
Or did the database say that nobody plays a5 here or something?
no, I think actually there's very few games in this.
Hmm.
Which makes sense because I mean it seems like kind of a sketchy line for black to go into this and give white a tempo. But it seems like actually just totally fine as far as King's Indian goes. Um, but yeah, a5 has been played, but yeah, like very few games basically, so
Okay.
nothing to really go off of.
Right. Well, we'll have to figure it out ourselves.
But honestly, like
H6
I
makes
don't love
sense.
these Petrosian positions that we got.
Six makes sense. 92,
I
you
mean,
didn't
like I
have
made
any.
all these moves because I just felt like they were thematic.
Right. And you didn't have any way to get to c5 in time, huh?
Well, actually, I'm not sure. Because here I could have played knight c5, and I actually
Right.
lamented not doing this.
Okay, that's what I was expecting during the game. Knight c5, b4, trades knight a4.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even sometimes it makes sense not to take on b4, but I'm not exactly sure when that would be. But yeah, yeah. I felt silly in the game after playing f5 because or after playing this one h5 because I thought like, oh, I I've definitely seen this idea before, but I just didn't think long enough um to remember it. Basically, I remembered it after my next move. So probably I think I was just playing too quickly here. I mean, okay, white goes like queen c2, and then maybe take, and take. And like your b6 or h5 here. I'm not sure.
Still seems like you're worse.
Yeah, I don't really like it, to be honest. So I don't know. I
I mean,
think
I
I'm
like
just
it better than with you having a knight on a6.
yeah, no, the game was
We're just sort of
really not
stuck.
great. Yeah.
So we
Yeah, I
need
like how
something.
Naka played it.
I think we need some other move here between this move and like this move.
Hmm.
Between move 10 and 15. We need something different. So let me see. Bishop g5 gets played. If you play knight a6, then basically his plan is to put the knight here. Knight c5. He's going to play what? Knight c5. He's going to play b3. Here, Kostya. You could have basically had this position in your move order also. h6, bishop h4, knight a6, knight d2, knight c5. So
Yeah, I could have started this one.
here I'm expecting b3, right? Because otherwise you would play a4.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you expect to?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I want to try g5 and taking on e4 and then f5.
Yeah, I never know how to calculate these lines.
Oh, the oracle confirms it.
It's good.
Icy says b3 knight f takes e4.
Oh no, but he wants to sack.
He wants to do it with the queen on d8.
Wait, I mean, it's not. This is the thing.
Whoa.
I would do this in the rapid game for sure.
Right. And this is typical, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, do you know the famous Kasparov game?
I guess not.
No, he did exactly this against Kramnik in a blitz game.
Cool. I have seen this position before, like more or less. So yeah, it's not completely random to me.
Yeah. No, I think it's yeah. I think it'd be a really fun position. I would love to play this. Still f5. Yeah.
Okay, playable, but my thing was so much simpler. Also, I mean, what did you think of this one? I mean,
Well, yeah, I guess so. The usual problem I have is f5, knight c3,
mm-hmm,
f4, bishop g4.
mm-hmm,
This is what I'm always worried about. Or maybe knight e4 first. Maybe this is.
right,
I've seen some positions from like the Gligorich that are like this, and let's just say HG, although I'm not totally sure.
right.
I think black is often fine, actually, like here, here.
Okay. That said, what about playing e4 when we had the chance?
Well, let's say rook c1.
Actually, I don't even have to take that, do I?
Yeah.
I'll show you my full battle plan.
I'm not sure. I mean, I've seen Rajabov do this in an endgame. Just give the pawn,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just like put his bishop on d4 and did nothing. Here, I'm not like totally sure. Again, I would try bishop g4 for white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys, I think you could get something out of this, even if you're a beginner player. If nothing else, maybe like, I mean, you can see what it's like to go over a game because it takes some time and some patience.
Yeah. And to average chess players question, I mean, I've taught some private lessons to A players on here who were pretty motivated and working really hard. Have you did you catch any of my lessons with Kimmy and Max for Ultimate Sensei? Because they're both A players who are probably kind of crossing 2000 level at this point, but probably pretty close to you. I gave them a lot of work to do. They're training pretty intensely even now. And all the other people in Ultimate Sensei were A players, and they were all getting private lessons from other GMs in that competition. So that might be a place to start.
Here, I think the issue we were thinking is black goes a4. Though white still can build up on the king side or queen side, rook b1, and then just like b4.
Just b4 anyway. So all the trickery didn't change anything?
Yeah, almost nothing.
So we're back to playing like icy?
Yeah, I'm not fully clear on well, actually this looks like a really nice version because we get this at the end. But yeah, I'm not clear on all these positions where white just goes like bishop f2, b4, c5,
and the rook's hanging on b1 too, right? So here, here, here. This is hit.
Oh yeah, that's very annoying.
Crazy.
No, but this is great because actually these ideas were not really on my mind at all. But they might be critical. They might really be like just critical.
Mm-hmm.
Like there might be some lines where this is the reason why white can't play b3 somewhere. Yeah, this makes sense. I still like this one more though. So I feel like I might just go for this one. But well, it's good to know for all these. all these Petrosian positions, and I have to play the Petrosian normally, so this is useful.
Cool. Yeah, I can definitely do that average chess player. I mean, the thing is, by the time you're an A player, by the time someone's about 1900, like what each player needs to work on is really differentiated. And I used to have like a really kind of like one size fits all plan for beginners rated like 800 or whatever. But teaching more private lessons to 800 rated players in the last few months, I've actually been able to like even differentiate a lot there. And come up with like different plans for different players that can actually be even more well suited and fitting and precise. So for a player at your level, like I could list a bunch of like exercises that players at that level would do, but depending on your strengths and weaknesses, you would have to do more or less of the opening work or the end game work or the middle game work or the calculation work. So it could depend pretty wildly. I mean, at your level, I would recommend, if you're really serious and you're going to be putting in a ton of hours working, I would really recommend trying to find some teacher who's really good at making like a profile of your strengths and weaknesses for you and getting at least like one lesson so that you have an idea of like what you should be working on. A lot of times people have misassessed their own strengths and weaknesses. And you can get a lot from just one lesson.
Yeah. This was a 10-0 game.
Yeah, so this bishop g4 thing, I'm very comfortable in the position with the e4 pawn sack instinctively.
Mm-hmm.
I like the e4 pawn sack followed by f4. All the black pieces are good. Happiness.
Yeah, I'm with you. That was here.
And actually, even after rook c1, a move which I didn't even consider, was like, what if like bishop takes knight and then f4? I mean, because we're leaving white with only their light squared bishop, which is their worst piece that they keep trying to trade off. I mean, I hate to give up my g7 bishop, which is why I hardly thought of this, but like, this looks very safe.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like queen d4, queen f6, and
yeah, and you can even pre-throw in queen f6 before f4. I mean, depending how like precise we want to get, right? I was just sort of alluding to this idea that actually maybe if we offload the bishop, maybe it's more clear that white has nothing going on. But yeah, queen f6, f4. I mean, it makes more sense. I mean, we've just traded the dark squared bishops, and we're indirectly trading for this one, so you always want to take control of the diagonal that doesn't have bishops anymore with your queen. So you hit this. I mean, it's got to be better than f4 right away, whatever, depending how precise we want to get. Now we do this. That's amazing. That's amazing. You've definitely solved opening problems.
yeah, black is totally fine. Bishop f5, a4.
We've got strength and potential on both sides, and the only weakness is like that our king's a little bit open, but at the moment, we've got the space to defend him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. Which books are a must read to get to 2,000 rating? Yeah, I think there are many ways to get there.
Yeah. Some people get there without even reading a single book.
Yeah. But if you check out our Patreon page, my full list of recommendations is up there, and it's not behind the paywall. That post is up for free. But I think you have to Google Kostya's recommendations or something. It's not going to show up on like the front page. But you can see the full list of books that I recommend for different levels there.
Yeah. That sounds like a useful resource. I would also say, like, depending on player, there's so many good books out there that to some extent it depends what a player's interested in, can be like the stuff that keeps them inspired and that they remember it better because they're more engaged and stuff. So
Yeah. No, I'm a big believer in just reading the books that you enjoy reading,
yeah, and if you read
regardless of
like
your.
dozens of good books, like, you're picking something up. Like, I really liked books written by good players about their own games.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like, simple formula, but like, Fisher 60 memorable games, Tal My Life in Games, Botvinnik 100 selected games, Alyekin like My Million Games in 3 volumes, including games that I composed against myself at home.
Yeah, what a fraud, huh?
So but that was like me, I loved like just little like tidbits about, like, then I was playing this tournament and I was like, whoa, I'm playing against masters, it's getting serious. And then
Yeah,
great
I
games.
really like those too. And I don't even think it's like hokey. I think it's actually scientific. Like if you are like enjoying the process of learning, like I think like you retain more. You're just gonna learn more. You're probably gonna do end up doing more overall.
Yeah. And right here beside me, this is my favorite chess book,
Which one's that?
Grandmaster Preparation, Lev
Polygaevsky.
Polgaevsky. This book had the biggest effect on me of any book I've read, probably.
Wow, I never read that one. What did you like so much about this one?
I mean, I guess I liked the guy. I liked Lev Polgaevsky. I think that's like what, draws me into, like, Tal's Life in Games and Botvinnik Tal 1960 and all those other things, is like, just like really getting engaged with the player. But this guy, okay, he loved chess the way I do. He searches for truth really hard. He analyzes really deeply. He works his butt off.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
finds
that's all I
incredible
know about
ideas, plays sharp
Polygaevsky.
openings.
Right, that he was just a incredibly deep analyst.
Yeah.
Guys,
2
actually, we
hours a
have a
day.
new rule on this channel that I came up with right now. But you're not allowed to ask hypothetical questions unless you've already done the thing you're asking about for some period of time. So if you're asking like, oh, how long could I get to IM if I did like 10 hours a day? First, you have to work for 10 hours a day and show us that you can do it. And then we'll. All right.
I mean, it's 2 hours a day in order to make IM, so that's like 1/20th of what you need to be doing conservatively, if not less. So it's going to take you over 100 years, but then you'll be too old to do it.
Wait, 1/20th? Why do you say that?
Oh, it's 2 hours a day, not a week. 2 hours a day. Okay, that's something. 14, 1/3. It's not going to happen at 2 hours a day.
Wait, what number are you working with?
I think you got to be putting in 40 to 80 hour weeks of chess to make like IM. Pretty much. I don't think 2 hours a day you're going to make IM. Learning too slow, aging along the way. I mean, maybe like Carlsen, or like maybe there's some people who have like enough talent that at 2 hours a day they could make it with just overwhelming talent.
Yeah, I think for young kids, 2 hours a day is a lot. I mean, it's like plenty, like to
I
see
guess
huge
so.
improvement.
It's hard for me to imagine because, like, I worked at chess from age 12 until age 24, probably an average of like 50, 60 hours a week for like 12 years.
You started at 12?
Yeah, to go from noob to IM. It was like 12 years of like 50, 60 hours a week. And I would estimate I've left my ego at like 10 years ago in the past, but like just for like the sake of like being helpful with the estimation, I would estimate that I'm like quite far in the direction of talented. So it's hard for me to imagine people making it with like, 1/10 as many hours or something like that. It's hard for me to imagine many people doing that.
I gotcha. I'm trying to think about myself. I mean, for me, I always felt like it was always just about the just working for an intense period of time. So like 2 hours a day for like casual learning for a year to me like doesn't really compare well to 1 month of like 6 hours a day.
Yeah. That's the other problem with 2 hours a day. It's like I made lots of progress when I was doing like 10, 12 hour days, right? So like I feel like 2 hours at a time, it's just it's I know it's like it's enough to become like a strong player.
Yeah,
But
no, for sure.
I don't know if it has a sufficient intensity to ever make like IM. Like it might just be like it takes forever because at 2 hours a day you're forgetting things as you're learning things, and I don't know if you ever get there.
Yeah, I feel like I never worked consistently for like a full year. I would just have 2 3 month spurts where I would work a lot, maybe 4 to 6 hours, maybe 8 hours on. It depends on what you count as work. Because I'm thinking back, I'm like, I didn't work that much, but I'm thinking back on my day, and it was maybe like an hour or two of like calculation, and then like like watching videos for like a couple hours or like looking at like an opening. So it wasn't all work, but it was like it was chess for like 6 to 8 hours a day, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really feel like I made the most progress when I was just really intensely working. I was very motivated. Like, yeah, when I picked up like my 60 memorable games, that was maybe the first time that I like actually enjoyed studying chess. And then maybe when I started reading like some Dvoretsky books, I remember like, yeah, like really working hard on my calculation and playing like blindfold chess like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I got a lot of growth from that. So I feel like very few people they grow steadily. It's always just huge spurts after weeks and months of intense work.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. So not to be a bummer, but I think it for most people it takes a lot of time, like serious intensity, and then you also have to be going and playing against like IMs. Like that's another thing. You're never gonna make IM without playing against a lot of IMs.
yeah.
So that means you also have to be, depending on where you live, you might have to travel to tournaments. Like not everywhere has like repeated tournaments where you can play against IMs and stuff.
Well, I think, by the way, Logis, thank you for subscribing. I think the benefit of these streams and the YouTube videos is that they give you like a jump start. They give you a little motivation, give you a little boost, a little training plan. Like, here's what you do. Now go do it. Um, oh, well, for me, I don't know. I think it's actually not so much about the number of hours. I just think you have to find something that is important to work on, like calculation and or end games or something, and then just really focus in on it and like really try to like push yourself, like where you're straining to be better and do more and more.
Definitely. And like for the whole question of like videos, for example, right? Like videos could count or not count in my opinion, depending on how engaged you are as you're watching them. Like, are you trying to like predict every move that's coming? Are you pausing your video and answering any question the teacher like asks? If they're not asking any questions, are you switching to a video with a better teacher? But I mean, like, are you engaged? Are you really trying to figure it out? Or are you just sort of like, oh, cool, the pieces are moving, like, because I think there's like a lot of like, fake aha moments out there. But if you really are just like straining your brain while you watch a video, then it definitely counts.
Yeah, I mean, it would count as like hard work. Though I think if you're not you don't have to watch videos for solving necessarily. If the videos, like I like videos that explain details and nuances that you wouldn't pick up on your own.
Yeah.
Which, for instance, I get a lot out of watching like Peter Lyko do commentary, because every time he analyzes an opening, he always shares all the little details and nuances he knows,
Right.
and those are just like, I mean, literally gold.
Or like that Sicilian class that Sam did, where he's like, you play rook e8 so that in this line, blah, 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 queen comes to g3, pinning your e5 pawn. You have to move bishop d8, defending your queen, and the rook hits like e5.
Yeah, that was sweet. I mean, yeah, like knowing one idea like that could win you 5 games or something. You know, they're like the equivalent of that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but if you only watch something once, though, the danger is that you probably won't remember most of it later on.
Right.
Very likely, actually. So you really have to be careful about repeating stuff if you really want to retain it.
Yeah. And for me, that also depends on the intensity of the first time you take it in, right? Like if you're just sort of passively watching it, there's a bigger chance of forgetting it than if you're like trying to guess the move. Like if you pause the video and think for 10 minutes and then
Yeah.
don't get the answer and then see what the answer is, like all that extra effort you put in is also increasing your retention chances.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally agree with what you said about the video author needing to be skilled. Like I still remember right now a lecture I saw in person by Coach Armin, like 15 years ago or something. He was showing this game to an Akopian and MBL, where Akopian had like this amazing prep. And I still remember like not the exact position, but the exact like idea, just because that lecture was just so interesting, you know, and he made us guess the move for like 10 minutes. No one figured it out. And it was this like insane move. And so yeah, that just kind of like burns in your memory if you're really focused in on it.
Yeah.
And I must have been, I don't know, 1800 back then or something. It was, yeah, a long time ago. Okay, yeah, I think
you probably want to see game 3, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, basically this one was already over. Of course, at this point, I should have just taken and played this position, where I think I'm just clearly worse. But you know, I mean, it's still playable. I think I remember checking this, and it wasn't like lost, or it was like black is just slightly worse. But then okay, of course I just blundered, and then it was just like a total like disgusting mess.
yeah,
But after the first game, I felt like anything could happen. So.
I think in this position, if he's giving up the dark squared bishop, you still have some chances, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
when
always. I mean,
once you played queen e7, it's kind of like white can do what they want. Right. The any kingside stuff is way it's like way slow, and there's not any counterplay.
yeah, no, I remember having a position like this as white, and the engine was giving like +2 already.
Yeah.
Which I think is actually like, it's not really +2. It's just the engine is calculating much further ahead, but it's bad. I mean, knight is coming to c4, and whole queen side is opened up. Yeah. But it's also not easy. Like I didn't win that game, even though it was against a lower rated player.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's always hope in the King's Indian.
Yeah.
As was made clear. Okay, so game 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game was a real bummer because I just haven't played against an IMZO in a while. And yeah, I just couldn't remember anything at all about this position. Yeah, I just felt like I got in trouble real early here again. What is my style? Because I always thought I was more of a technical player.
Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday we found out that I'm just tactics monkey.
No, I mean, I think your base style, and I had to think about this a little bit the other day because it isn't really obvious, but I think your base style also includes like a pretty big piece of like counterpuncher. Like you can get you can find the counterplay and the opportunities um when somebody's like pushing on your position.
Hmm. That's cool. Actually, I always yeah, I've always felt I've always liked the games of Rajabov, and I feel like he has this kind of style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like a really 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 useful style for the King's Indian, or whatever quality to have for the King's Indian defense, um, is finding that stuff.
Yeah. Actually, one of the biggest compliments I ever got was when I played GM Tiger, and I was a King's Indian. And then after, like, I was worse the whole game, but he was just impressed with how I how I held on, and he was just like, "Yeah, you have a good temperament for King's Indian players."
Yeah,
And I hadn't even been playing it for that long, so that was,
yeah.
and it was Tiger too. I mean, the guy's like a legend in all these G6 positions.
Mm-hmm. I think you could do well with the Sveshnikov
Oh, really?
as black.
I do love how Magnus played it.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen Rajabov's YouTube channel, Sadat, and I agree it is extremely instructive. I mean, we have very very few players of his level straight up just making YouTube videos and like analyzing his games and stuff. And he did actually a really good video with Chess Base India, where he just came on, he just talked about the King's Indian for like 90 minutes, and then they showed some of his like his best games. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, the thing about the Sveshnikov, I just never liked this D5 square in the bishop G5 lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's okay. You
But
could deal with it.
yeah, I'll keep it in mind.
I'm confident that the opening would go well for you if you played it as black.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so this is okay. I realized my error in this game,
Okay.
and I totally forgot about this line because the main move is G3. I've actually played this many times. I just didn't recognize the position, but this is like how the line usually goes. Now, I don't know the current status of this one, but I remember basically white is supposed to be just like plus equals. And yeah, I'm looking at the top games and it's all draws, but like 6 wins for white in the top 15 games or so, or 20. So seems like white still kind of scores nicely here.
Position looks pleasant. This e5 move happened really fast for me. In general, I like white's position. So if you go rook d1, black's playing queen c7, so that doesn't increase the pressure at all. If you play c5, black takes, and then on e5, that's what's hard for me to evaluate is the c5 pawn sack here.
Oh, c5 here?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can tell you it's like e5 is just the only move by a wide margin.
In the database, right?
Yeah.
But if you ask like a computer engine, well, like if you turn on like a
Sure,
strong
I can ask.
neural net or something, I don't know if you've
Yeah,
got engines, but
maybe it's different now. Well, I'll ask Duckfish 12
okay.
because now it has some neural flavoring. It doesn't like it. It says even e5 for black.
Okay. What is it like for white?
So here, yeah, it just thinks e5 like only move.
Just e5 only move. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I always thought if black, yeah, just knew this perfectly, it's pretty much a draw because it goes into these positions quite often, like knight d7, bishop f4, and then takes, bishop d6. Rook fe1. And basically white just is left with these super ugly pawns, but the pressure on the diagonal kind of just compensates, and at usually at best black just gets a draw here. But actually, I mean, it's not easy. Like there are definitely some strong players losing this as black. Yeah, so that was my bad. Just lack of practice with the line, because I usually play knight f3 in this position. Um, but yeah, for whatever reason, I just decided to go for queen c2 here. But yeah, this was a bummer because I think actually like. Yeah, like the engine like already likes black. I mean, it's playable. It's not like we're much worse, but oh, that's so funny actually. So the results in the recent games are all draws, except again 6 games, all black wins. So
Yeah.
the previous position was the reverse. Uh, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, actually, like already during the game, I was pretty disappointed with how things turned out.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like, d5 is coming, and I don't know. The only improvement I could come up with was like b4 and e4, and then playing like queen d4 here, because of course rook d1 ended up being probably just really bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, black's going to move their queen, and then rook d1 doesn't help at all.
yeah. All right. And this one, I guess, I don't know. I would expect like d6 e5 or something.
Well, that doesn't particularly hurt you. That's just a game.
Uh-huh. Oh, right. Actually, yeah, there was a reason I didn't like this kind of thing. d5 takes knight c3. I thought this was very annoying. I don't know if I thought about queen d4. I think I was thinking more about maybe like queen b3. And then I didn't like the looks of even takes and like knight takes and then dominating.
Mm-hmm. So with queen on d4,
Yeah.
d5. That's too bad. Okay, how bad is this knight c3 move for you?
It's like, yeah, bishop d3. Black has to play queen d5, bishop d2. I don't know. I think it's going to kind of peter out.
Okay.
Maybe I'm slightly worse, but it doesn't.
Hey, petering out
like,
sounds good, man. That bishop on c1 was not looking as good as a knight. I'm happy
cool.
if you can just trade stuff off.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, I was already just kind of like unhappy with my position. So I felt like I had done something wrong. So, yeah, this seems like definitely the right approach.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oof. This
Right,
is
so
all
here,
just oof.
Yeah, but I didn't have to go h3. I mean, I definitely could have gone bishop b2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, well, I guess, I mean, it feels like black is just looking for something concrete, but it's not necessarily bad.
Right. I mean, he's looking for something like here, 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 hitting this, right? And then knight d2 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Apparently bishop b2 is losing. I don't know why, but it's it's not suggested. So yeah, something like this just looks devastating.
It's starting to hurt, I think, here. Not really sure.
Amazing coordination. I mean, this is like remarkable.
The black pieces did somehow come together. So, yeah, I don't know. Pawn takes c4 might be good enough. I mean, it might be that simple. I'm not really sure what white does. Rook c1 is not going to make bishop e6 better if black's just playing knight d2.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're already busted here?
Let me see. Not quite. Yeah, only move was just c5. Basically giving up the pawn.
To keep the bishop on b7 in.
Mm-hmm.
And slow down the tactical liability on the c file. It still seems like black just takes on c5 and opens the c file.
Yeah, I think, I mean, actually, like, Stockfish, honestly, not that happy with the extra pawn. In fact, only queen c7 after takes gives a substantial edge. Because I guess white just plays a4 and has, at least white has, like, open lines.
Well, that's an incredible lesson. Like, seriously, if I could defend a position like this with c5, because Kostya, I don't know about you, but I don't think it would have made my candidate move list here. c5?
Well, it didn't for me. I know that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I would just look at, like, bishop b2. I only look at developing moves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, in a classical game, let's see, I'm probably not playing h3 because I'm going to calculate dc4, knight f2, and see that works. Bishop b2, take queen c7, I mean, it's pretty clear that that's a big problem. So I wouldn't do that in a classical game. I feel like I would just assume c5 is like a full pawn for black and also just kind of eliminate that.
Because that's the thing. I wouldn't even think of it. Like, I
Right.
wouldn't even think of it and say it's a full pawn. Like, it's pruned for me. I don't even get to look at that move somehow.
Yeah, it is kind of prudent. No, just because there's just so many on that square. It just doesn't like I would definitely look at CD5 and maybe even convince myself to go with that somehow.
CD5, bishop D5, queen B2, knight C3 kind of thing. Huh. Yeah, this position's kind of depressing, I guess. You want to look away? No, I want to see why C5 is even possible. Honestly, I want to, like, if it's possible to not lose a game by playing a move like C5, that's just crazy.
Yeah, well, okay, if black just takes, which I
Yeah.
imagine that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Queen b4 is kind of the idea.
Hits the knight on G4.
Yeah, which gets the tempo back. Let's say black plays like knight f6. And then
I really want to play bishop B2, but is your computer saying that we can play A4, bishop A3?
Let's see.
Bishop B2 looks so good. I mean, the diagonal's pretty open right now.
Bishop b2 a5 apparently is the problem. Yeah, a4 is the only move.
A4 is the only move. I don't know if I
And
could
then
find
on
that.
a5.
And why did A5? Why was A5 a problem? Oh, knight B3. Right.
Yeah, it's knight b3. So I guess if we go here, queen goes back. Maybe a4. Or just knight fe4.
A4 surprising. I think knight fe4.
Yeah. So bishop just doesn't do much compared to on a3.
Wow. So white's position looks
100% better. I mean compared to the game.
Yeah.
And this is just yeah, it's just like it's like Winnower style, like a4, bishop a3. Knight comes to d4, which makes sense. Eventually b5. No, Stocky gives full comp. I wouldn't evaluate it like that, but
wow. All right, and let me just see some more moves. Let's say we play rook c5 for black. So it's another approach. I'm just trying to put a rook on c2 or whatever, or use the c3 square and stuff.
So here apparently h3 is important.
Okay.
So we're not worried about any more knight f2s. Let's say knight goes back.
You don't want to be tied down to this for too long. So I could trade everything off on f2. I could play knight c3. I could play knight back to f6. See, when somebody attacks my piece with a pawn, that's when I see a bunch of candidate moves. And in other positions, I don't see them. So if I trade on f2 and then double rooks, knight d4, there's e5, so that's not like a simple solution. Bishop d3 could be good, then c1's hanging.
Maybe bishop d2 there?
Bishop d.
Yeah.
Oh no, rook d2. Wait. This is hanging also.
Oh. Yeah, not super clear. There was also like bishop b4.
Bishop b4 here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe just like rook d1.
You're trying to control the d4 square, right? Oh no, rook d4 actually.
Rook takes, covers h4.
Covers h4, my whole
nice.
dream. Okay, but I'll do this anyway. If rook d4, I'll play e5, e4.
Maybe rook d6.
Unfortunate. Now, no queen d3. I'll trade it and play e4. I have a secondary threat to trade on f3 and take h3, I guess. Messy position. Not clear what's going on.
Yeah, because black has to watch out for queen c2.
Yep. I did successfully watch out for it for one move.
G4 would be really nice if not for queen takes.
Yeah. If not for your king getting mashed. All right.
It feels really unclear. I don't know. Rook d2 is a move.
Rook back to d2 here.
Yeah.
Not losing to trades and e4.
Well, I think, yeah, I take with the bishop and then I hit b7.
Aye. Nice. Good move. Okay. Messy things. That's c5, bc, rook c5, h3. If I agree to retreat...
Then a4 again. And there was this nice idea where if black goes here, then of course we go here.
Play bishop a3 anyway, right?
Yeah, typical engine resource. And it's really hard to make these kinds of moves during the game.
And on a move like this, like maybe even resources like this just keep coming up.
Can happen, yeah. Totally.
Wow. And then somehow we're just playing a game, down a pawn, but it's just a game.
Yeah, that wasn't the only move, but totally fine. And yeah, Stockfish just gives equal.
That's really cool to me, Kostya. I mean, I've never seen this before, and I think I'm really lacking in these kind of like practical defensive decisions. Obviously, this is an even harder one to find than a normal one, but
Hmm.
When I'm looking at like, oh, I don't want to take on d5, oh, I don't want to play bishop b2, like I never come up with anything resilient.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I guess I do look for ideas like this, but yeah, this one is particularly well. I think the hardest thing is just understanding that white is in huge trouble, like dynamically, like about to lose.
Right.
uh, which I thought I'm still okay for a moment, when I played H3. Of course, it's like a rapid game, so whatever. Didn't have time.
I think like, oh, I'm losing, and then don't come up with anything. I was very, very worried for you here.
Uh-huh.
And when I saw H3, I was like, that seems like suicide, but like not like I had a better idea, just like yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can show the game. So basically after H3, the problem is black took on C4, takes on F2, and then if I take here, is bishop F3 at the end. And this is actually really easy to calculate once he took on F2 because it's just the most forcing line, just capture, and then either we allow this check and black takes back this one and up in exchange, or this check and then black just takes the rook and totally winning. So actually I was happy, like here it was really hard to find the move. Even though I lost quickly, I did feel like I don't know, it felt like this was the only chance I had. I don't know if I had any like other reasonable options other than what I did. But it might not even matter. Seems like I'm just losing no matter what in many different ways. Yeah. At no point did Jesse have to find an only move to win this. That's how bad it was. Although I thought his technique was actually like very clean. Like he just gave me no chances at all in this one.
Oh yeah, it got very clinical in a hurry.
Yeah. I played Levy once in person and I managed to win. Actually, a nice game. Okay. So yeah, I guess we should go to the last game.
Yeah.
But this has been great so far. Thanks for doing this with me.
Of course. I'm always game.
Nice.
I mean, when my kids are asleep. Always game to analyze chess.
Um, okay, so last game. It definitely felt, yeah, the best about this game. Except again, actually, I couldn't remember what I had prepared. In the opening. And so I thought for a little bit here and then just went into improv mode. Although knight d7 actually, it made sense to me. Because I wonder, yeah, this was the game. Yeah, I was wondering if I had transposed to a different position and yeah, so I've seen Movsesian play this idea a couple times with h6 and knight h7 in this exact position. That's what I wasn't sure about during the game, if this was it or not, but that's what I was going off of. I actually think it's a good line, but I probably misplayed it somewhere. Oh, interesting. So okay, so previously in this position, Sebastian Mazet, who's also a big King's Indian guy, he played f5.
Really pushing it.
Yeah.
Really pushing. I mean, the white pieces aren't amazing. But I guess rather than getting squished, I would want to trade all the pawns. Seth, f5 is thematic, yes. More often than not, though, it happens after white's played d5, which sort of closes the center and takes pressure off of the e5 pawn. When there's still the tension between the d4 and e5 pawns, the move f5 is played sometimes, but much less.
Yeah. No, it's often right. The exact problem with playing f5 when white hasn't pushed this is that they go de, and the position kind of opens up. And that's what happened in this game. So, yeah, this is Maze. So he's like 2,600. His opponent is 2,330. So he takes and goes c5, which is very logical and thematic. Black goes e4, knight d4, knight e5.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems like white had exactly, well, one idea here to get an advantage.
Okay. Hang on.
Yeah, it seems like one idea.
Okay. Complicated. An advantage. Ooh. I think I may have found it, Kostya.
Yeah.
F4.
That was the move in the game. Actually,
Damn.
I think sorry.
I played like the fool who lost.
Well, white was better in the game. So like black played knight g6, and then white is supposedly having a big edge. So I don't know, might still count. Apparently EF is what black has to do, but then I think black is kind of worse for nothing at all. So I feel like your move is good objectively.
It is good.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wasn't fully estimating it yet.
Okay.
But okay, Engine wanted to give a check and then play knight de2. So bringing this one here, but without the queen trade.
So I looked at this.
Uh-huh. Wait, wasn't e5 hanging?
I guess so, yeah. Great variation. Yeah. Maybe f4 here is better. Already. And then knight g5 instead of this awkward rook move.
Yeah, I mean, this looks totally playable for black.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing about these positions. It's like the engine always likes white, but like one mistake and then black wins.
Yeah, this is really important. So I looked at that, and then I stopped looking at queen b3. I mean, I was suspicious of this idea, like just trading off black's only not developed piece.
Right.
It felt like time was going to be pretty critical, and then I thought we really just needed some space on the king side because our pieces are worse. So f4. So, but the engine says that somehow knight d2 is a great move.
Mm-hmm.
Like truly great. It does stop f4, just like my move.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like, the evaluation is kind of like stable, after any move.
Mm-hmm.
So, but okay, I kind of get it. Like knight comes to f4, one of the rooks comes to d1. White has control. Yeah, rook comes to d6. So I don't know if he played this one super well, but like he won the game, which I think is important.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking how the game played out. I don't think it's super exciting. But yeah, I think that is the improvement though, because actually no, not so clear. So knight g5 is what I did. And then according to the engine, only way white can get an edge is taking and going d5. But this isn't like the computer always estimates these positions as like huge for white. And that's not necessarily true. So the evaluation doesn't really scare me too much here.
Sorry, I gotta fix one thing on my computer. Just carry on.
Worse. Oh yeah, no worries. Well, black could definitely be worse here, but white would have to find like some kind of plan. So let's say knight b5 here, queen d2, bishop f6. Well, I don't want to play bishop f6. So, yeah, this would be kind of an ugly position. Although, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where white still has to find a way to actually improve on the queen side. Like they can go b4, black will go b6, and it's not so obvious how white breaks through, but I do feel like black's position isn't fun at all. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel like this is really something I want to go into again. So I might have to look into this f5 move.
The one on move 11?
Mm-hmm. Although also actually, yeah, I didn't realize this, but I mentioned this in the post-game interview that on h3, in this position, I should also be just considering this one, takes rook e8.
Mm-hmm.
This one actually might not work. Here, here, here. And white didn't have to play f3. In which case there's not much, I feel like there's not much upside for me here.
me see. It's a little bit complicated.
Oh wow.
What?
So later, I missed the trick that I was looking for, like the whole game, like b6, b3, and then I played this move,
Mm-hmm.
like threatening this one.
Right.
I could have just taken right away and then recaptured with the queen. And I even looked at this position,
Oh no!
but I discarded it because I was like queen g3. There's nothing there.
Oh no!
Yeah, what a miss. Very silly, actually.
Oh
Literally looked at the line.
man, you were probably pretty close to finding that.
Yeah. I mean, apparently he can go here,
Mm-hmm.
and he's okay. This one, take, but black is totally fine. I pull this back, and yeah, no problems at all, I think.
Yeah, comfortable.
So that was kind of a it's kind of an unfortunate miss.
Yeah. So that other position you were thinking about in the very opening, right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very complicated, right? I was looking at this, 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 this.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, this looked or looks
Super shaky, right?
very, very.
Seems like white should have a winning move, but anyway, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, Seth, yeah, we both missed the rook. Which is kind of a shame because I really like this game actually.
Yeah. It was unfortunate. I saw you heading towards that position, and like everything kind of hanging together on that D file challenge, and I was like, oh no, there's E5, and then
Yeah, he thought there too for a while.
and then you guys played to that position, and Jesse stopped and thought, and I was like, he's double checking, he's being careful, because like he assumed Kostya couldn't play Rook D8, but Kostya played Rook D8, so he's just being very professional about it and double checking. And he sits there, and I'm holding my breath for all that time.
But it was no, it was just straight up mutual blindness because I didn't. Sometimes I'll see the blunder and I'm like worried about it. I didn't see it at all.
Yeah.
Weird blind spot actually. I was wondering like what happened there, and I'm not sure. It just like the move didn't pop out at all for some reason. Maybe because the bishop kept moving, like it was on c5 then b6 and like back on c5, and I just didn't track it. Yeah, it went like just skipping ahead a little bit, but bishop went here and then back to e3 and then here, and then yeah, in my mind like yeah, just not registering that this square is taken.
Yeah, because before you played b5, I was calculating the same line as you, right? I was thinking like, okay, if Kostya plays b5, he can get everything off, on the d file, and the position's like simply good for black. I mean, not like necessarily winning or anything. The c6 pawn's blockaded for the moment, but like, just like only black could be better. Very, very safe. And then I was like, oh shoot, there's e5.
Yeah. So yeah, this was an interesting moment because like actually in the game I thought I kind of messed it up a bit. Um, and yeah, I felt like, well, at first I felt like b5 was not a move I wanted to make. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, then the more I looked at it, the more I thought actually, like I started feeling a little bit optimistic here.
Can you switch your move order and play um, Rook D8 before B5? Or is then just Queen D2? Yeah, just Queen D2.
Mhm. Yeah, but I mean, after b5, I can just like go a5. I mean, the rook isn't really needed on the d file at all.
Mm-hmm. Or a move like Queen C3.
Yeah, yeah. I think actually there's lots of moves here.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. So for this one, yeah, actually, I have to look at some options here. I mean, it's not really like my main line, so it's not super important, but I don't feel like this one is fully solved. Because the engines, as you know, are just not super duper helpful here. they often they often mislead you. So I think I'll keep looking here for more games.
Mm-hmm.
But this position I felt like was already just fine.
Yeah, it's comfortable. You've got squares for all your pieces, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And well, I guess I have this ED4 position, which I normally don't like, but I traded off one piece, and the G pawn, like, I mean, it's weak, but it also just stops F4, which is really nice.
Yeah. If you imagine the same position with your pawn on H6, at first you'd think like, oh, that's great. Like now my pawn structure is perfect. But then suddenly white has ideas of F4 and it's very awkward because they can sort of build up where they're threatening the D6 pawn, right? And play F4 where if you retreat, even if you have a rook on D8, F4, knight D7, trade on G7, take on D6.
Yeah, and that always goes back to D7.
So
Right.
very, very nice to have F4 controlled.
Oh, by the way, apparently I missed this one, and then just taking on F3.
Right.
Yeah, this one I feel less bad about, although I did consider it. It's just, yeah, it's a hard move to play in these positions, but
Mm-hmm.
it's one I should learn. So C5
Yeah.
was the move I missed in like 3 games, actually.
You missed it for him as well as for yourself.
Um, oh, for white to play it?
No, I mean you missed it for him in the game where you lost a pawn. Like you could have played it as white, but you also missed it as a resource for him to win the pawn, right?
That's true. No, I mean, I don't know if I missed it.
Okay.
Because I'd been looking at that idea like for several moves.
Okay.
But I just like, well, I think that was just an example of bad form. It's like I knew it was a problem and then I didn't solve it in time. he's like taking on D4 and like I still don't know what I'm doing against it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden down a pawn. But yeah, I mean, basically 3 games. Okay, so kind of a weird blind spot. Maybe an anomaly. I don't know. Um, well, okay, it's getting kind of late.
Yeah.
I think I should get going soon.
Yeah. No, it's my normal pumpkin time right now too.